My name is Edmund, but most people just call me Grandpa Ed. I'm 73 years old, and on what should have been a quiet, ordinary afternoon, the kind where life finally feels settled, everything I believed about my family collapsed in a single sentence. She didn't whisper it. She didn't hesitate. She screamed it. "The children aren't yours. Get a DNA test." Those words echoed through the house I paid for, the house I worked decades to protect, the house where I raised children I thought were mine. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I was sure of who I was, sure of my loyalty, sure of my sacrifices. I had given them my youth, my strength, my entire life. So when she demanded the test, I agreed without fear, because I believed the truth would finally silence her. But what none of us were prepared for was what happened when the doctor walked back into that room. Before I tell you what the results actually revealed, and how a hidden truth from decades ago rewired our entire family history, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop it in the comments. Your voices remind me I'm not alone. To everyone who has been listening, supporting, and sharing these stories, thank you. You give strength to people who were taught to suffer quietly. And if this is your first time here, do me a favor. Like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You're not just joining a channel. You're joining a family that believes the truth always finds a way out. Now sit with me. Because what that doctor revealed next didn't just change who the children belonged to. It revealed who had really been lying all along. Let me take you back to the morning it happened. March 14th, a Tuesday. Ordinary in every way except one. It was the day my wife of 47 years decided to burn our life down. I was in the kitchen, toast in the toaster, coffee brewing, the kind of morning rhythm you fall into after decades of marriage. Jane was at the table staring at her phone. She'd been doing that a lot lately. Scrolling, typing, deleting. I didn't think much of it. 73-year-old women use phones too, right? I set her coffee down in front of her. Black. 2 sugars. The way she's taken it since 1976. "Thanks," she muttered. Didn't look up. I sat down across from her with my own cup. Opened the newspaper. We used to talk over breakfast. Used to laugh. Used to plan the day. But somewhere in the last few years, we'd become 2 people who just existed in the same space. "Did you transfer the money?" she asked suddenly. I looked up. "What money?" "For the property taxes. I told you last week." I had transferred it. 3 days ago. I told her so. She shook her head. "No, you didn't. I checked the account." Now, I'm not a man who raises his voice. Never have been. 47 years. I maybe yelled twice. Both times deserved. So I stayed calm. Pulled out my phone. Showed her the bank app. The transfer. Right there. March 11th. Confirmed. She stared at the screen. Then at me. And something in her face changed. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't relief. It was something else. Something cold. "You think you're so perfect, don't you?" she said quietly. I blinked. "Jane, what are you?" "Always the good husband, the provider, the saint." Her voice was rising now. "You walk around this house like you built it with your bare hands, like everything here belongs to you." I don't understand what's happening right now." "Of course you don't." She stood up. Her chair scraped loud against the floor. "Because you never see anything, Edmund. You never ask questions. You just assume." My chest tightened. "Assume what?" She looked me dead in the eye, and then she said it. "The children aren't yours." The room went silent. Not quiet. Silent. Like the air had been sucked out. I laughed. I actually laughed. A short, bewildered sound. "What? You heard me." "Jane, that's insane. What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about Jude, Abigail, Joel, the 3 people you think are your legacy." Her voice was shaking now, but not with guilt, with anger. Get a DNA test, Edmund. Prove it, because I'm done pretending. I stood up. My hands were trembling. Pretending what? Jane, we've been married for 47 years. I was there. I held your hand through every delivery. I cut the umbilical cords. I stayed up nights when they were sick. What the hell are you saying? I'm saying, she hissed, stepping closer, that you've been living a lie, and it's time you faced it. I felt something crack inside me. Not my heart. Something deeper. The foundation I'd built my entire identity on. But I didn't yell. I didn't break. I just stared at her. Fine, I said quietly. I'll take the test. She blinked. She hadn't expected that. I'll take the test, I repeated louder now, and when it comes back and proves you're wrong, because you are wrong, Jane, we're going to sit down and figure out what the hell is really going on here. Because this isn't about DNA. This is about something else, and I'm going to find out what. She didn't respond, just turned and walked out of the kitchen. I stood there alone, toast still in the toaster, coffee going cold, and for the first time in 47 years, I wondered if I'd ever really known my wife at all. The next 3 days were the longest of my life. Jane didn't apologize, didn't take it back, didn't even explain. She moved through the house like a ghost, present but untouchable. And I became a detective in my own home. I started small, went through old photo albums that night, pictures of Jude as a baby, Abigail's first birthday, Joel's graduation. I searched those tiny faces for, what? Proof they were mine? Proof they weren't? They all looked like me. Jude had my nose. Abigail had my mother's eyes. Joel laughed exactly the way I did when I was young, head thrown back, loud and unashamed. But Jane's words had planted a seed, and seeds grow in the dark. I couldn't sleep, lay awake staring at the ceiling. Jane was in the guest room. She'd moved there the night of the accusation without a word, just took her pillow and left. On the second day, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked her phone. She'd left it on the kitchen counter while she showered. I picked it up. My hands were shaking. The screen lit up. No password. She'd stopped using one months ago. Said she had nothing to hide. I opened her messages. And there it was. A thread with her sister, Tracy. Dated back 2 weeks. Tracy. Did you tell him yet? Jane. Not yet. I'm waiting for the right moment. Tracy. Don't wait too long. He needs to hear it before he figures it out himself. Jane. What if he doesn't believe me? Tracy. Then you make him prove it. A DNA test. Once he sees the results, he'll have no choice but to accept reality. Jane. And then? Tracy. Then you're free, Jane. Free of him. Free of this house. Free of playing the dutiful wife to a man who never appreciated you. I read it 3 times. Then I kept scrolling. There were more, dozens more. Conversations about lawyers, about property division, about how the kids will understand once they know the truth. My vision blurred. Not from tears, from rage. This wasn't a spontaneous accusation. This was a plan. A calculated, premeditated plan to destroy me. But why? After 47 years, why now? I kept digging. Went to the study, our shared filing cabinet. Jane never locked it. I pulled out bank statements, investment records, property documents, and then I found it. A real estate appraisal for our house, dated March 1st, 2 weeks before the accusation. Market value, $680,000. Someone had been preparing to sell. My phone buzzed. A text from Jude, our oldest. Jude. Dad, Mom called. Said you're having some kind of breakdown. Is everything okay? My blood went cold. She'd already started. Already begun poisoning them against me. I texted back, I'm fine. We need to talk. All of us. Soon. No response. I sat there in the study, surrounded by 47 years of documents, mortgage payments, college tuition receipts, medical bills, proof of every sacrifice I'd made. And I realized something. Jane wasn't just trying to leave me. She was trying to erase me. That night, I called the DNA testing center, made an appointment for all of us, me, Jane, Jude, Abigail, and Joel. The woman on the phone said results would take 7 to 10 days. "Make it 5, I said. "This is urgent." When I told Jane, she just nodded. No surprise, no resistance, like she'd been waiting for me to do exactly that. "Good," she said. "It's about time you face the truth." "We'll see," I replied. But inside, a new fear was growing. Not that the children weren't mine, but that whatever Jane was hiding was so much worse than I could imagine. The DNA appointment was scheduled for Friday at 2 p.m. I spent Thursday trying to reach the kids. Jude wouldn't answer. Sent my calls straight to voicemail. Abigail responded with a single text. Mom explained everything. I need space. Only Joel called back. "Dad?" His voice was cautious, distant. "What's going on?" I didn't know where to start, so I just said, "I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" Silence. Then, "Mom said you've been acting paranoid, that you're accusing her of things." "Joel, I haven't accused anyone of anything. Your mother accused me, and tomorrow we're going to settle it. All of us, together. I need you there." "A DNA test? Dad, that's insane. You really think—" "I don't think anything," I interrupted. "I know who I am. I know what I've done for this family. But your mother wants proof. So we're getting proof. And when this is over, you're all going to see the truth." He was quiet for a long time. Then, "Okay, I'll be there." "Thank you, son." I hung up, stared at the phone. Joel was the youngest. 31. Always the peacemaker. Always the one who tried to hold us together. If I could keep Joel, I could reach the others. That night, I couldn't eat. Couldn't sit still. I walked through the house like a stranger. Touched the walls I'd painted, the floors I'd refinished, the bookshelf I'd built by hand for Abigail's 10th birthday. Every corner held a memory. Jude's first steps in the hallway, Abigail's piano recitals in the living room, Joel's science projects spread across the dining table. And now Jane wanted to take it all. Not just the house, the history, the proof that I'd mattered. I found myself in the garage, my workshop, tools hanging on the wall, half-finished projects on the bench. I sat down on an old stool and just breathed. That's when I saw it. A box, shoved in the back corner, covered in dust. I pulled it out, opened it. Inside were old medical records, from the early years of our marriage, fertility clinic visits. I'd forgotten we'd even kept these. I flipped through the pages, charts, test results, and then I saw a note, handwritten, from Dr. Alexander Chen, dated 1985. "Mr. and Mrs. Edmund, we've reviewed the results. Edmund's sperm count and motility are within normal range, but slightly below average. Conception may take longer, but is certainly possible. Recommend continuing natural attempts for 6 months before considering intervention." I stared at the paper. We'd had Jude in 1986. Naturally, no intervention, just patience. And then, nothing. For years, we tried for a second child. Jane went to appointments I wasn't invited to, said the doctors wanted to run women's tests. I trusted her. Abigail was born in 1989, Joel in 1994. 3 children, all natural, or so I thought. But if my count was low, if conception was difficult, how had we managed 3? I felt something shift in my chest, a terrible, creeping suspicion. What if Jane's accusation wasn't a lie? What if it was a confession? Friday morning arrived too fast. Jane was already dressed, hair done, makeup perfect. She looked calm, composed, like she was going to brunch, not a DNA test that could destroy a family. "Ready?" she asked. I nodded, didn't trust my voice. We drove in silence. The clinic was 20 minutes away. Modern building, glass doors, sterile waiting room. a place where truths got extracted and packaged in manila envelopes. Jude was already there, sitting in the corner, arms crossed. Didn't look at me when I walked in. Abigail arrived 10 minutes later. Red eyes. She'd been crying. She sat next to Jude. They whispered to each other. I couldn't hear what they said, but I felt it. The wall between us. Joel came last. Rushed in, apologizing. Hugged me tight. "It's going to be okay, Dad." I wanted to believe him. The nurse called us back one by one. Swab in the mouth, label on the tube, efficient and cold. When it was my turn, she smiled politely. "Results in 5 days, Mr. Edmund." 5 days, I repeated. 5 days to know if I was a father or a fool. We left separately. No one spoke. Jude and Abigail walked out together. Jane drove home alone. Joel lingered. "Dad," he said quietly, "whatever happens, you're still my father. You know that, right?" I looked at him. 31 years old, strong, kind. Everything I'd tried to teach him to be. "I know, son." But as I watched him walk away, I realized something. I didn't know anything anymore. And in 5 days, the truth, whatever it was, would finally speak. 5 days, 120 hours, 7,200 minutes. That's how long I had to sit with the possibility that my entire life had been a lie. Jane went back to her routines, made breakfast, watched her shows, talked on the phone with Tracy in hushed tones that stopped the moment I entered a room. She was acting like nothing had happened, like she hadn't detonated a bomb in the middle of our marriage. But I saw the cracks. The way her hand shook when she poured coffee, the way she checked her phone obsessively, the way she avoided my eyes. She was waiting for something, and whatever it was, it terrified her as much as it terrified me. I tried to stay busy, fixed the loose hinge on the bathroom door, organized the garage, mowed the lawn even though it didn't need it, anything to keep my hands moving and my mind from spiraling. But at night, alone in our bedroom, because Jane still hadn't returned, I let myself think the unthinkable. What if she was right? What if Jude, Abigail, and Joel weren't mine? I'd look at their baby pictures and search for signs I'd missed. A different nose, eyes that didn't match, a smile that belonged to someone else. But I couldn't see it. All I saw were my children, the kids I'd raised, the lives I'd shaped. Biology doesn't make a father. Love does. Sacrifice does. Showing up every single day does. But try telling that to the world. Try telling that to yourself when your wife has spent 47 years lying to your face. On the 3rd day, Abigail called. "Dad?" My heart jumped. "Abby, hi, how are you?" I don't know." Her voice cracked. "I've been thinking about what Mom said, about the test, and I need to ask you something." "Anything, sweetheart." "Do you really not know? If we're yours or not?" The question hit me like a fist. "Abby, I've never doubted it. Not once. Not until your mother." "But what if she's right?" she interrupted. "What if we're not? What does that mean? Who am I?" I closed my eyes, took a breath. "It means you're Abigail. My daughter. The girl who used to make me tea parties with imaginary guests. Who cried at every Disney movie. Who graduated top of her class and became a teacher because you wanted to help kids the way I helped you. That's who you are. A name on a test doesn't change that." She was quiet. Then, softly, "I'm scared, Dad." "Me too, baby. Me too." We talked for an hour, about everything and nothing, and when we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Hope. Maybe the kids weren't lost. Maybe they just needed reminding. On the 4th day, I got a call from the clinic. "Mr. Edmund, this is Dr. Mona Williams. I'm the geneticist reviewing your family's test. I need you and your wife to come in tomorrow. There's something we need to discuss before we release the results." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean, discuss? Can't you just tell me over the phone?" "I'm afraid not. It's complicated. We need everyone present. You, your wife, and, if possible, your children. Complicated how? I can't say more until you're here. But Mr. Edmund? Her voice softened. Bring someone you trust. You're going to need support. She hung up. I stood there, phone in my hand, heart pounding. Complicated? What the hell did that mean? I called Joel, then Abigail. Then, reluctantly, I texted Jude. Results are in. Doctor wants all of us there tomorrow, 10 a.m. Please come. Jude didn't respond, but Joel did. I'll be there, Dad, no matter what. Abigail sent a heart emoji. It wasn't much, but it was something. That night I tried to talk to Jane. She was in the living room, staring at the TV. Some crime drama she wasn't really watching. Jane, I said softly. The doctor called. She didn't look at me. I know. She called me, too. Do you know what she wants to talk about? No. Are you scared? Finally, she turned, and for the first time since this started, I saw something real in her face. Fear. Yes, she whispered. We sat there in silence. Two strangers who used to be everything to each other. Jane, I said quietly, whatever happens tomorrow, whatever that test says, I need to know one thing. She looked at me. Did you ever love me? Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't answer. She just stood up and walked away. And I knew. Tomorrow, everything would change. I need you to do something for me before we go any further. If you've made it this far, you're invested. You want to know what the doctor says. You want to know what Jane's been hiding. You want to know if I get my revenge. But here's the thing. I only finish this story for people who actually care. So, right now, I need you to hit that subscribe button. Seriously, do it now. Because what happens in that doctor's office? It's not what you think. The DNA results don't just prove who the father is. They reveal a secret that goes back decades. A lie so big it changes everything. And if you're not subscribed, you're going to miss it. So here's what I need. Subscribe. Join this family. We tell the truth here, no matter how ugly. Like this video. It helps others find these stories. People who need to know they're not alone. Comment below. Tell me, would you take the DNA test? Or would you walk away? I'm reading every single comment. Your voice matters. And listen, this isn't just a story. This is my life. And I'm trusting you with it. So prove you're here for the right reasons. Subscribe, like, comment. Because in the next chapter, the doctor walks into that room with an envelope that destroys everything Jane thought she knew, and gives me the revenge I never saw coming. Don't miss it. Subscribe now. The waiting room felt smaller than it had 5 days ago. We sat in a circle, me, Jane, Joel, Abigail, and surprisingly, Jude. He'd shown up at the last minute. Didn't say hello. Just sat down, jaw tight, eyes forward. The silence was suffocating. Jane kept checking her phone. Abigail stared at her hands. Joel sat next to me, close enough that our shoulders touched. A small comfort. At 10:15, the door opened. Dr. Mona Williams stepped out. Mid-50s, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. The kind of face that delivered bad news for a living. "Edmund family," she said softly. "Please, come in." We filed into her office. Not enough chairs. Jude and Joel stood against the wall. Jane and I sat across from Dr. Williams. Abigail took the chair in the corner, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to disappear. Dr. Williams placed a manila envelope on the desk. Didn't open it yet. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "I know this has been an incredibly difficult time. Before I share the results, I want to explain something about DNA testing. Sometimes we discover information that's unexpected, information that requires context." Jane's hand gripped the armrest. Her knuckles went white. "Just tell us," Jude said from the wall. "Are we his kids or not?" Dr. Williams looked at me, then at Jane. "Jude," she said carefully, You are biologically Edmund's son. The DNA match is conclusive, 99.9% probability of paternity. I felt my chest release. Jude was mine. At least Jude was mine. But Dr. Williams wasn't finished. Abigail and Joel, she continued, the results show no biological relationship to Edmund. The room went cold. Abigail made a sound, a small, broken gasp. Joel didn't move, just stared at the floor. Jane closed her eyes. However, Dr. Williams said, voice firm now, there's something else. Something the test revealed that I don't think anyone in this room was expecting. She opened the envelope, pulled out a chart, genetic markers, colored lines connecting names. Edmund, she said, looking directly at me, your DNA shows a genetic anomaly. It's called Klinefelter syndrome variant, XXY chromosomes. It's rare and often goes undiagnosed. Most men with this condition experience fertility issues. In your case, the variant is mild, which is why you were able to conceive naturally, but only once. I blinked. What does that mean? It means, Dr. Williams said gently, that after Jude was born, your fertility would have declined significantly. The likelihood of you fathering more children naturally after 1986 was less than 5%. The room was spinning. But we had 2 more children, I said. Yes, you did. Dr. Williams turned to Jane. Mrs. Edmund, the genetic markers in Abigail and Joel show they share the same biological father, a father who is not Edmund. Jane's face crumpled. She didn't deny it, didn't speak, just sat there, exposed. Who? I heard myself ask. My voice sounded far away. Who is their father? Jane shook her head, tears streaming now. Edmund, Who? Alexander, she whispered. The name hit me like a bullet. Alexander, I repeated. Your high school boyfriend? The one you said you hadn't seen since 1975? She nodded. You've been seeing him? For 30 years? No, she said quickly. No, it wasn't like that. It was the clinic. I stared at her. What clinic? The fertility clinic. After Jude, we tried for years. Nothing worked. The doctors said we needed help. They offered donor sperm. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd say no. I knew you'd feel less than. So you lied? My voice was shaking. You used another man's sperm, your ex-boyfriend's sperm, without telling me? I didn't know it was Alexander, she cried. The clinic said it was anonymous. But years later I found out. He'd donated in the 80s. It was a coincidence, I swear. When did you find out? She hesitated. 10 years ago. 10 years. You've known for 10 years that Abigail and Joel weren't mine, and you said nothing? I was protecting you. Protecting me? I stood up. The chair fell backward. You accused me of lying. You demanded a DNA test. You turned my children against me, and the whole time, you were the one hiding the truth. I panicked, Jane sobbed. Tracy found the old clinic records. She said you were going to find out eventually. She said I should tell you first, control the story. But I couldn't. So I thought if I accused you, maybe I'd leave before I discovered what you did. She didn't answer. I turned to the kids. Joel was crying. Abigail looked like she'd been hit by a truck. Jude was staring at his mother with pure disgust. All of you, I said quietly. I want you to understand something. I don't care what that test says. Joel, Abigail, you are my children. I raised you. I loved you. That doesn't change. Joel stepped forward, grabbed my hand. Dad, but your mother, I continued, looking at Jane, lied to all of us, for decades, and then tried to destroy me to cover it up. Jane reached for me. Edmund, please. I stepped back. I need time, I said. Away from you. Away from this. I walked out of that office, and for the first time in 47 years, I felt free. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my new apartment, small, one bedroom, a place that's mine. Jane is still in the house, for now. My lawyer, Bernice, sharp as they come, is handling the separation. Turns out using donor sperm without spousal consent? That's fraud. Forging medical documents? Also fraud. Jane's looking at a lawsuit. Not from me. From the fertility clinic. They don't like being implicated in deception. Tracy's gone quiet. I sent her husband, Alexander, yes, that Alexander, copies of all the messages between her and Jane, the ones planning my destruction. Last I heard, they're divorced. Tracy's living with her daughter, Rosemary. Poetic, really. As for the kids, Jude comes by once a week. We're rebuilding. Slowly. He's angry at Jane. Feels betrayed, too. Says he doesn't know if he can forgive her. Abigail is in therapy, trying to process what it means to be donor-conceived. To learn your entire origin story was a lie. We talk on the phone. She cries a lot. I listen. And Joel? Joel moved in with me. Said he didn't care about biology. Said I was the only father he'd ever known. Said he wanted to be near me while we figured this out. Last week, he legally changed his last name. Kept mine. That was the moment I knew. I'd won. Not because I destroyed Jane. Not because I exposed her lies. But because the people who mattered chose me. Jane calls sometimes. Leaves voicemails, apologizing, begging, explaining. I don't listen to them anymore. She made her choice 47 years ago when she lied. I made mine 3 months ago when I walked out. People ask me if I'll ever forgive her. Maybe. Someday. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean going back. I spent 47 years building a life I thought was real. Now, I'm building one I know is. Before you go, one last thing. If you made it all the way to the end, you're part of something bigger now. You've heard my truth, the ugliest parts, the painful parts, the parts I never thought I'd say out loud. And you stayed. That means everything. But here's what I need you to do. Subscribe. Because this story, it's not unique. There are thousands of people out there living through betrayal, lies, and family fractures, and they need to know they're not alone. When you subscribe, you're saying, I see you, I hear you, your truth matters. Like this video. It pushes this story to people who need it. Someone out there is sitting in a doctor's office right now, holding an envelope that's about to change their life. Let them find this. Let them know they'll survive. Comment below. Tell me, what would you have done? Would you have stayed? Left? Forgiven? I want to hear your story. Drop it below. No judgment. Just truth. And if you've been betrayed by a spouse, a parent, a friend, write this in the comments. I survived. Because you did. And that's worth celebrating. To everyone who shared this journey with me, thank you. You gave me a reason to keep talking, to keep fighting, to keep believing that the truth, no matter how painful, is always worth it. Subscribe, like, comment, and remember, family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. And I showed up. Every single day. See you in the next story. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.